You know, when Bonnie Blue came out with the goal to sleep with 1,000 men in a day, I think a lot of us thought that that wasn't such a great idea. That couldn't be a good goal to have. It wouldn't make you feel happy. And to be honest, I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if she's happy or not. But choosing the wrong goals it's something that it's fairly common. And there's actually something called it's called post achievement depression. And it's what happens to people when they finally achieve a goal. They get their PhD, they get 10,000 views, they get a promotion, or they buy their new iPhone or Nintendo Switch or whatever. And what happens is, I guess the meme is that what you feel when you finish a show or a game, you feel like purposeless after you get it. And the reason that happens is because we chase the wrong goals. We chase goals just to distract ourselves. And the reason is sometimes we use goals as a form of avoidance because, you know, when we are not doing anything or our minds can become our worst enemies, we start to worry, we start to judge, to remember who wronged us and stuff like that. And there's actually a reason for that. The default mode network is a part of the brain that activates when we are not doing anything, when we're not involved in goal chasing mode or something. And it's a very autobiographical part which compare us and judge us and stuff like that. And it's actually interesting that when people started to research mindfulness, they were like confused because nothing was happening, nothing activated in the brain. But then later they discovered that the default mode network actually was being suppressed with mindfulness. So that's why mindfulness works because it stops this part from thinking about what we did wrong and stuff like that and worrying. So anyway, a lot of the times we just pick a goal to avoid our life to get distracted. So we think, okay, now I'm gonna be chasing this PhD, I'm gonna be chasing this job or whatever. It's a way to avoid our real world. And ironically, these goals get us farther away from the life we want instead of bringing us closer to that. So there's actually this thing called post achievement depression, and it's this depressed state that we get when we achieve a goal. And there's no doubt that there's this uh, hedonic treadmill or hedonic adaptation that yeah we get a brief jolt of happiness or excitement when we get something and then our happiness goes back to where it was. But that's not the whole reason. And from the act perspective, the reason is that our goals are not guided by values. We just chase goals that we think we are supposed to chase. Society tells us to chase. Get a family, get kids, get money. And that's okay. Those are good goals in the right context. But a good question to ask yourself is would I still care about this if nobody else cared? If my father didn't care if I was studying medicine, would I still do it? And if the answer is no, then you're chasing a goal not guided by your values, and it's gonna bring you to sadness. So it is important to figure out what your values are. For example, with the videos, I can focus on getting views, and I would be focusing on outcome goals which are out of our control, and I would probably be miserable because even if I get to I don't know 100,000 views, yeah, I would get excited for like a minute or something. Then everything's back to normal. But instead, if I working with my values, if my value is to try to be better at practicing English, talking about psychology, maybe doing something useful for someone, trying to improve on the videos or my voice or whatever, I can't fail. So I can't leave my values all the time. It doesn't matter how people respond to me, you can always leave your values. And I think that's really powerful. For example, let's say you're a father. Your value is to be a good father, but but your kids they don't love you that much because whatever. You can still live your value as a good father, but we first need to define how that's gonna look like. That's where committed action enters. Okay, what actions can make me live my value to be a good father? Okay, like calling them or being there for them or inviting them to the movies, even if they say no. The same with a relationship. You want to fix your marriage? Nobody can assure you that she is gonna forgive you or she's gonna love you back or whatever, but you can do your part to be a good husband, a good boyfriend, a good wife, whatever. You have the power to live like that. Because when we talk about outcome goals, as I said, they are out of our control. There's many ways you can get an outcome goal. For example, I want to get an A plus. There's many ways you can do that. You can bribe, you can get lucky, you can copy, whatever. Or on the other hand, the teacher can hate you, you get unlucky, and you fail. It's out of your control. But if your value is to learn, okay, then you can focus on that. And how am I gonna do that? Okay, I gotta study for 2 hours a day. I gotta ask questions. I gotta do my homework, stuff like that. So I don't know. I just wanted to make this video because I did it for my other channel, and I think it's a good idea. I know it sucked, but maybe it can help you.